Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Velasquez, Health Officer for Spokane County. And today I am joined by Sandy Phillips, a technical advisor on our Living Environment program, which is something that when we're done, I want to ask you to go to our website and check it out. But we're here to talk about Healthy and Safe Swimming Week, which is being celebrated. And interestingly enough, we all enjoy going to a pool, we all enjoy going swimming, but we kind of never worry about going into the pool. And the reason for that is because we have our team that very quietly works with all of the pool owners to make sure things are safe. So most people say, so who takes care of all of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I'm going to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about the Pool and Water Recreation Program? What do you guys do, and what do you do in that program?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Velasquez. We implement the water rec regulations under an agreement with the State Department of Health. And so we conduct routine inspections of pools, and that would include public pools, so those that are operated by the city and county and private health clubs, and then also semi-public, which would be your hotels, motels, apartments, homeowner associations. So we do routine inspections to make sure that they meet the water quality standards, the barriers are correct. So we're looking for things that will protect the health and safety of the public. So.
Wonderful. So it's not just the water. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that is, because most people will think that this is just the public pools. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of other pools that your team inspects. So roughly, how many pools are we talking about?
Well, we have both annual and seasonal pools. So the annuals tend to be more indoor pools, although there are a few that operate an outdoor pool through the winter, or a spa particularly. Oh. Okay. We inspect those annual pools twice a year for a routine inspection, and we have about 150 of those. And then we have the seasonal pools, which operate, they start about this time of year and they go until about maybe Labor Day or the end of September. And we have about 250 of those that we inspect. And it's a pretty short period of time, so they're only inspected one time per year. Now that would be just the routine inspection. If we find any more severe violations, we have a list of those, and we would go back and do a reinspection, make sure it's corrected. And if it's still not corrected, we would do a second reinspection. So actually the number, of actual inspections can be higher than just the number of pools that we have.
Well, that's interesting. So it sounds like a lot of pools in a short period of time. And keeping our fingers crossed that having to do those inspections because something has failed are not too frequent. But as a community member, what can we all do to help ensure safety in our pools?
Right, very good question. One thing you can do is before you use the pool, whether it's a public pool or even your own residential pool, is have a shower before you get in the water. We don't realize it, but we have dead skin cells, we might have dirt, other material that can get into the pool, and it uses up the chlorine, which is what protects us from viruses and bacteria. So showering is extremely important. Other things we can do is make sure our kids have swimming lessons, know how to swim. If you're at a public pool, even with a lifeguard, you still want to be watching your children as well. Because the lifeguards can't be watching every minute. Even a good lifeguard has to scan the pool. So keep them within, a reasonable distance. And one other thing, really important, and this is actually on the pool rule sign, is if you have been sick with vomiting or diarrhea in the last 2 weeks, you shouldn't go swimming. And that's because you may be feeling better, but you may still be, discharging, a few viruses or bacteria.
Well, that's a good point because we don't tend to think about that. So bottom line, you've been in the yard, you're all muddy, the pool is not the place to go.
Right.
Before you take a shower,
take a shower first, or hose off at least.
Hose off at least, very well. And if you have children, lifeguards do a wonderful job, but they can only be in so many places at so many times. So I think adults have a responsibility to make sure that children or those that don't know how to swim are being watched.
Yes,
Okay.
supervision is just paramount to keeping kids safe
Yeah,
around
and
water.
I'm glad you mentioned swimming lessons because I understand that the number of children that have learned how to swim has gone down over the years. And given the fact that we have a lot of water sources, it will be important for kids to know how to swim. So I think I will encourage everyone. Now let's go back to something. We talk a lot about pools, but in the region we have lots of lakes, ponds, rivers. Any advice on those?
Yeah, important to do a few things to stay safe around that. Just be aware that there are hazards, particularly in a river. So you've got current, you may have something called strainers, which can be trees or bushes that are partially submerged that people can get caught on, whether you're swimming or boating. Good to know the water body that you're going into, and wear a life jacket. There's also hypothermia. There's a risk of cold water, which if it's below 50 degrees, you may not be able to function too long. Your muscles will tighten up. And there's actually a really good Coast Guard rule. It's called the 50-50-50 rule. And what it says is that if you're in 50-degree water for 15 minutes or more, you have a 50% better chance of survival if you're wearing a life jacket.
Interesting. So, moral of the story, maybe sunny outside today, but temperature is not going to be 90 degrees, right?
Exactly. It takes a long time. And the lakes will warm up, but rivers don't tend to at all
Because
if they're getting
always
snow
flowing
melt.
and getting the snow melt.
Right.
And that's something to remember because we tend to, it's sunny, must be warm. So you mentioned the life jackets. Tell us a little bit about the life jackets and what should we all know about it?
Yeah, it's important to pick a life jacket that, number one, is Coast Guard approved, and that can be found in the label, which would be inside the jacket. Another important thing is to have it sized properly. So inside an adult life jacket, it'll usually have like a chest size, a weight size, and then for a children's life jacket, you want to make sure it fits. Well, for adults too. And a couple important features for young children is to have a strap between the legs, which stops the life jacket from popping up over the head.
Okay.
And then this float material behind the head will keep the child on their back and face out of the water because they don't have the same mobility that an adult does in the water. And then when you're buying one for your child, you want to lift it up by the shoulders and make sure that it doesn't go above the ears. It should be pretty snug on them, pretty good fitting. Unfortunately, that probably means buying a life jacket as they grow, every year. Not buying it too big because it's probably not going to last too long.
Well, think
If
about
it's right.
it's like running shoes. Kids will grow, so you got to buy them a new pair next year.
Yeah, and don't buy it way too big because with shoes they'll trip, and with a too big a life jacket it'll float right off of them.
Good point. And if I recall, I heard something about a promotion somewhere.
Right. We actually, here in Spokane at the Health District, we have partnered with Big Five Sporting Goods, who've been very generous over the last, actually, I think almost 20 years, to provide a 20% off coupon to purchase life jackets. And actually, a number of years ago, that coupon offering went statewide, and it's offered through the Statewide Drowning Prevention Coalition. So, available on our website. You can download it, use it buy as many jackets as you need for all your kids. It's really a great thing for the community.
So Memorial Day is coming, and you got a 20% discount. So no excuse not to go and get a life jacket. They're probably on sale. I don't know. I haven't looked, but every store has sales of everything, and if you get a percentage off on top of that, I think very important. Children and adults will both have to make sure it fits well. But children, remember that they're gonna grow. Don't do like have a size bigger like we do with shoes because that may go above their ears, and that's dangerous. Make sure it fits. And when you're done with it, you can always donate it or give it to somebody else, or if there's other children in the family or in the neighborhood, I'm sure we'll enjoy it. Any other tips that you have for us today as we look at late spring and summer, particularly summer, when everybody's going to be looking for water when it gets warm.
Yeah, just a couple other things.
Sure.
You know, swim with a buddy, always good. Don't go out alone. Just be aware of your surroundings and the hazards there, and you know, have caution with using alcohol around water as well to stay safe. And hope everybody has a great, you know, Memorial Day weekend coming up and enjoys the water we have, because we're really fortunate to have those resources in our area. And the pools, those are very safe to swim in as well.
Wonderful. So I want to say thank you to Sandy and thank you to our team in Living Environment upstairs. These folks do a lot of work behind the scenes, not only with pools, but playgrounds, parks, schools, a whole bunch of other things that we don't think about, restaurants. That's why we enjoy the great restaurants we
Yeah.
have in Spokane.
Pull up on Animal Bites.
Animal bites, yep, all kinds of things. So what I'm gonna say is we're getting close to the unofficial beginning of the summer. Everybody's thinking about water because we are fortunate enough to live in an area where there's a lot of opportunity for water sports. And if you look at many of the surveys, Spokane is a destination for people moving as well as for retirement. And one of the key indicators of that is our outdoor activities and beautiful nature. So for you to do that, follow the tips that Sandy gave us today so you can enjoy that, be safe, and stay well. Let's prevent accidents this year. Let's look for zero. Goose egg would be a wonderful thing to do. And I do appreciate the warning about alcohol. I know that adult beverages may be common in some activities, but remember, heat, water, alcohol, not necessarily the best mix in the world. So let's be mindful of that. And if you think you had maybe a little bit too much, well, just stay on the shore and just watch everybody else and, you know, just wait a little bit before you do anything else. So with that, we're going to say enjoy your upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Thank you, Sandy and the team.
Welcome.
And we will see you guys all next week. Stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.